Welcome to the Passionpreneur Experience, where I examine the thoughts, energy, and strategy a side hustler needs to grow their entrepreneurial dreams, all while they work their corporate 9-to-5 day job. I'm your host, Bridget Cobb. Now let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to the very first episode of the Passionpreneur Experience podcast with me, your host, Bridget Cobb. I can't believe I'm finally recording my very first podcast, which is funny, it's not my very first podcast. I've been podcasting for 2 years, but you've never heard it because, I'll get into that in a little bit. I want to introduce what this series is about. And I'm really excited that you're listening to it because it means right away you understood the mission. But I'm going to go into it anyway. As I mentioned, my name's Bridget Cobb. I have created something called the Passionpreneur Experience. And that is a community that is specifically designed and created for people like you. And that is the Passionpreneur. So I want to go into a little bit about what that is and how I define it. Passionpreneur, that word's existed already. I thought I was very original and came up with it, but apparently not. It's being used out there in the great wide world. But a passionpreneur to me is someone that is growing, fostering, creating their own entrepreneurial business. It might even show up as a strong passion project, but they're doing this alongside a 9-to-5 full-time job. So they're working that full 9-to-5 working experience and at the same time trying to grow their own personal business as an entrepreneur and balancing that act between full-time day job and passion entrepreneurial effort. I find that this type of person that takes on that full 9-to-5 and their entrepreneurial adventure is a very special breed of person, has a very special set of circumstances, needs, concerns, fears, joys. And so I wanted to create a place that we could come together and experience that together. So I created the Passionpreneur Experience. And for me, this is a place where we can ask questions, where we can vent, we can celebrate together, and we can find support. So I'm really glad that you're here. Often, as it is, entrepreneurs or side hustlers, as we're often called, we know other side hustlers. So if you have friends that are out there that are working their 9-to-5 and growing their entrepreneurial dream on the side, get them over here. Get them over to the podcast. Let's start building that community. I have another way for us to build community, but I'm going to get to that at the end. So let's keep going. What is this podcast all about? Well, I know that there are a lot of podcasts out there that focus on different tools, different techniques, strategies to build your entrepreneurial business. But I also know a lot of those podcasts, because I listen to them all and I absolutely love them, are not really speaking directly to that person that's still balancing the 9-to-5. A lot of times it's targeted towards someone that's a full-time entrepreneur. And while we share a lot of the same challenges, we distinctly have different challenges that really focus in on our experience of fitting in this passion project or entrepreneurial effort around this all-consuming 9-to-5. So I want to focus on what that experience looks like specifically, and we're going to be delving into that. So any guests that I have coming onto the show will be a passionpreneur. They will have a full 9-to-5 job and also be building their side business. And we're going to be focusing on that. So not only will we talk about tools, techniques, and strategies to get that done while you work your 9-to-5 and get your passion project out there, but we're also going to focus a lot on mindset. So that's going to be a huge piece of what we discover in the Passionpreneur Experience podcast. What's going on specifically for us as passionpreneurs or side hustlers that maybe the full-time entrepreneurs don't necessarily have to contend with. So that's what we're going to tackle. And why am I so passionate about this? Well, I am one. All right. So I am fully in that space. I have a full-time 9 to 5 job. I work for a highfalutin tech company. Not going to drop names, but I'm pretty sure in a couple of clicks you can figure it out. So just share a little bit about me before we get too far into these episodes. So I live in Seattle. I work for a very large tech company, but my background is literally all over the place. I clearly am one for finding new adventures and new spaces. So my background professionally ranges across sales, training, public speaking, consulting, product, project, talent management, mentoring, all of those different spaces. And I have worked all over the world. I've lived in Australia, I've lived in Singapore, I've worked all over Africa, I've worked in Thailand, and of course here in the US where I'm recording this podcast. So I've gotten around. I certainly love to explore new opportunities, as you might have guessed. And that's always driven me. But guess what? All of that experience, all of that world travel and working abroad and living abroad was all part of my corporate experience. I've grown up in a corporate space. It's always been my space, and I'm very comfortable there. So I've worked for various size companies. The one I'm with now is the largest company I've ever worked for, but I've worked for smaller consulting type companies. Might have had a little bit more of a startup feel to them, but generally they were pretty established companies, albeit they were small. So in that effort, I felt very comfortable. I understood how it worked. I understood promotion paths and how to get a better salary and how to look for new opportunity within the corporate space. But there was always something sitting there in the back of my mind that I wasn't getting from my corporate experience. There was this project inside of me. There was this mission inside of me that I could never fully bring to the surface with my corporate experience. And try as I may, I picked up different skill sets and I looked for different opportunities where I could keep bringing that to the surface, but I wasn't quite getting there. Well, just a few years ago, last year now, I got certified as a professional coach. So I went through my coach certification. I'm now a certified professional coach, and I started to really think about what space I was truly passionate in. And I guess I could say, guys, I've been planning to do this for about 15 years. That might sound crazy, but I am not kidding. For the past 15 years, I have been wanting to start my own company. And I've played with it here and there a little bit along the way, but it suddenly became very crystal clear to me, as you may have experienced yourself, the time is now. And I did it. I jumped in with both feet. I got my certification and I launched officially my company in January of 2019. Absolutely exhilarating. I have to say, during that time, even while I was getting coaching certified at night and launching my company on the weekends, I was working my corporate 9 to 5, and I still am. So that's my story, catching us up to date. I'm in this space now. And I realized that I had a real passion for people in this same position. I know I feel driven. I deal with all sorts of different emotions when it comes to looking at both my corporate experience and my entrepreneurial experience and making sense of it and understanding what the plan is and how I prioritize. So that's what this space is about, guys. And I'm really, really glad you're here. As we go through this and as this podcast develops, we're going to hear from some incredible people out there that I know personally that are really making a difference and balancing that corporate existence and the entrepreneurial existence. We're going to play around with transition. What does it look like? Is there transition in your plan? Do you want to go from corporate to full-time entrepreneur? Well, let's explore it. Let's talk about it, and let's hear from some people that have done it. So that's where we're going with this podcast. I am very excited that you're here and that you're going to be sharing this journey with me. And I will be coming to you, relaying my story, where I'm at in my process and with my business. And then also, like I said, bringing in others to share their story. Now, I did mention when I first got started that there is another way that I want to build community. I think a podcast is a cool way because I can hear from you guys. You can leave comments and ask about topics and get involved. But I want there to be a bigger, better conversation outside of the podcast. So I have created a Facebook community. It's an online community called the Passionpreneur Experience, and it is specifically for people that are working a full-time 9-to-5 while trying to grow their entrepreneurial business and their dream. So, if you are looking for a place to congregate, to meet other passionpreneurs where they're at, like I said, to go in there, ask questions, learn from each other, cry when we need to, and then dust ourselves back off when we need to, and get some more inspiration, then please get your tushes over to the Passionpreneur Experience. It is on Facebook. You can either search for my company, which is Bridget Cobb Coaching, and you'll see a big old blue button on that page that says view group or join group, something like that. That will get you in to ask permission to join the group. It is a closed group, and there's a reason for that. So I have made the group private because I know that there is potential for people to be out there growing their entrepreneurial passion and their business, but they don't necessarily want their full-time corporate gig to know about it. Totally understand that. It's another reason why I've created this group in Facebook instead of LinkedIn. A lot of us use LinkedIn as our corporate stomping grounds. That's where we've got profiles about our jobs. Some of you might not even have your entrepreneurial efforts on your LinkedIn profile because you're purposely keeping them separate. So I've created this closed group where you need to ask permission to get in, and that just ensures that we really have a safe space there where we can get together and talk and be free or feel more free to kind of get out there and be a little bit more vulnerable and ask the questions that you really want to ask without fear of being exposed if you don't necessarily need your 9-to-5 snooping into your entrepreneurial efforts. So once again, head to Facebook, look up either Bridget Cobb Coaching or the Passionpreneur Experience. Now, I also happen to know I've picked a word that A, is not a real word, and B, even in the real word form, entrepreneur, it's tough to spell. So, might have been a huge marketing flaw on my point, but I really like the word and I'm going with it. So, my suggestion, look for Bridget Cobb Coaching, and then you'll see a big old button there to hit and you'll get into the group. So I see all the requests coming in. I'll make sure you get in, and then you get prompted right away to get in there, introduce yourself, and start interacting with the community that's already there. So that's where I'm at. I wanted to say hello. I wanted to introduce myself. I'm so glad that you have joined me. Please share the news that there is a new safe space out there for passionpreneurs, specifically for those that are working their 9-to-5 full time and growing their entrepreneurial dream on the side. Call us a passionpreneur, call us a side hustler, call us whatever you like, but we're here, and I think we bring a lot to the table. And again, I think we come with our own unique challenges. So that's where we're at. I look forward to seeing you next time. So please join me. If you would, like, share, leave a comment, and that really helps the podcast grow. I'd like to get the word out as quickly as possible. All right. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you back here next time on the Passionpreneur Experience. Are you building your side hustle business all on your own? Well, you don't have to. Engaging with and being accountable to a supportive community will increase your productivity and keep you on track. Join my private Facebook community, the Passionpreneur Experience, and connect with like-minded side hustlers just like you. Head to the show notes now for a link to the group and start building the business of your dreams.